we talk about the secret history of the American Vietnam War from Infowars.com and Vice. And there was an interview. If you saw my other video, we continue, and they ask him some questions. They ask him, so the War Crimes Working Group was not created to prevent or punish atrocities and war crimes in Vietnam from like Americans. That's exactly right. They didn't try and punish wrongdoers. They didn't try and punish guidance out in the field. They didn't do anything to prevent war crimes. When, like, people were doing war crime, they did not punish like people, maybe Americans, and they do the bad thing, they need to punish themselves, or people need to punish them, but they didn't. That's a problem. You do a bad thing, you need to pay, go to jail or something. That was not happening enough. It operated out of Chief of Staff General William Westmoreland's office. He had been the supreme commander in Vietnam a couple years before, so he had a vested interest in the war and how it was portrayed. They just tracked things so they could make reports to the Secretary of Defense and to the White House in America to keep them appraised of possible scandals that were on the horizon. So this group put together the massive collection of files, not flies. And after I found it, I wrote my dissertation on these documents. And after I defended my dissertation, I went to Vietnam. Your reporting attempted to mask up the atrocities you'd read about in these files with the actual villages where they had allegedly been committed. What did you find? It was actually a lot easier than I expected to find witnesses and survivors of these particular incidents. Generally, because the Vietnamese are so tied to their land, even people who were bombed out of the countryside into the Senting towns and slums and refugee camps. After the war, they returned to these home villages, their home villages.
It's 1 o'clock.
Oh no. You have to go? And we're living there when I got there. But it really transformed my project because I went to talk to Vietnamese about the one spasm of violence that I had in their records, but what they would talk to me about was 10 years of living under bombs and shells and helicopter gunships and what it took to negotiate every aspect of their lives around the American war. What I was told in the countryside was beyond my ability to grasp, something that I could have never have gotten from the records. And I would talk. Okay, good. You should like it. And I would talk to Vietnamese who would tell me about what it was like just to try and eke out an existence in the war zone, about having their home burnt down 5, 6, 7 times and then finally giving up rebuilding and starting to live a semi-subterranean life in their bomb shelter. About how they figured out how to get that shelter. Okay, good work. And to get the water or food or relieve themselves, and how their entire lives
Thank you. And goodbye.
Bye.
Good luck.
Good luck to you too. So they had to figure this out. A lot of things to figure out because, you know, terrible things were happening. And they, you know, how do I say it? Talk about the artillery fall down on a hamlet, and they would run into the bomb shelter and stay there. And then this whole calculus would begin, where they would try and figure out exactly when the right time to leave that shelter was, so that they don't go out and die by, you know, a bomb or a gun or something. You had to wait until the artillery shelling stopped, but you couldn't leave too soon, or you were apt to be cut down by a helicopter gunship that was flying overhead. You had to make sure you weren't caught in a crossfire between departing guerrillas and the unresting American. But you couldn't stay down there too long because the Americans were coming. But you couldn't, you know, you couldn't do this, couldn't do that. And they would start rolling grenades into the bomb shelters because they saw them as possible enemy bunkers, fighting positions. There are all of these decisions to be made, and it wasn't just your life that depended on making it, but also, you know, maybe your entire family. The whole family could get wiped out if you left a second too early on a second too late, like, or a second too late, if you left a second too early or a second too late.